You are listening to Weather Dual Storm Tracker. This broadcast compiles official National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration and National Weather Service products. This feed is provided for entertainment and informational purposes only. Always check official forecasts from the National Weather Service at weather.gov before making any decisions dependent upon the weather conditions. National Forecast Discussion. Good morning, this is the nation's weather summary. We are tracking an exceptional weekend of winter weather and the immediate effects of an entrenched Arctic air mass now spilling across more than half the country. While a potent clipper system continues to exit the northern plains, the true impact remains twofold: extreme cold and treacherous travel conditions. In Minnesota and Iowa, winds will remain strong, combining with existing and new snowfall to drive wind chill values down to the -25 to -35 degree Fahrenheit range tonight into Monday morning, particularly over central and western Minnesota. Residents in areas like the Siston Hills are advised that blowing snow will continue to produce whiteout conditions, making local travel highly hazardous. Further south across the Central Plains, we see dual threats. Today brings widespread elevated fire weather conditions across large parts of Oklahoma and Texas due to very low humidity, especially in western North Texas and south central Oklahoma, where relative humidity values are dropping to 15%. Meanwhile, a renewed surge of Arctic air guarantees a bitterly cold Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. Peak cold arrives Tuesday morning across the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic. We anticipate wind chills plummeting to -10 to -20 degrees across northeast Ohio and down through the Allegheny Mountains of Pennsylvania, where readings could reach -20 degrees or colder. Even without the deep snow, these are potentially life-threatening temperatures. Focusing back east on the developing coastal storm, snowfall accumulations are increasing and shifting westward. From the western border of New Jersey, through the I-95 corridor and extending into coastal New England, we are now anticipating widespread plowable snow. Accumulations of 2 to 5 inches, with localized totals up to 7 inches, are expected for portions of eastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island, with the heaviest snow falling late this afternoon into the overnight hours. Travel across the Virginia Northern Neck and the Maryland Eastern Shore faces hazardous conditions later today as marginal temperatures may allow a mix to transition to 1 to 2 inches of wet snow, creating dangerous black ice tonight. Adding to the winter complexity, an intense lake effect event is spooling up off the Great Lakes. The areas most impacted look to be the favored snow belts downwind of Lake Erie, specifically the Buffalo, Southtowns and parts of Wyoming and Genesee counties in New York, where localized snowfall totals could reach an astonishing 20 inches. Similarly, heavy lake snow is expected in the Adirondacks, with northern Herkimer County under a winter storm watch for the potential of over 7 inches through Tuesday. In the Deep South, a light, wet snow event is ongoing for pockets of southeast Alabama, including Pike, Barber, and Russell counties, where up to an inch is possible mainly on elevated surfaces. In the wake of this moisture, central Florida is bracing for wind and cold. A wind advisory is in effect today for areas like Orlando and Daytona Beach as gusts approach 45 miles per hour. Tonight, freezing warnings extend across interior Florida, impacting areas like Lake, Orange, and Volusia counties. Further south, the deep cold will result in wind chills dropping into the upper 20s across Glades and Hendry counties. Even Key West is in for a blast of wind, with 25 to 30-knot gusts expected through Monday morning. Finally, we turn briefly to the west, which remains largely tranquil but stagnant. Air stagnation advisories are prevalent across valleys in Oregon and Idaho, including Boise and the Willamette Valley, where low clouds and fog are trapping pollutants through midweek. Daytime temperatures remain well above average, running 5 to 15 degrees warmer than normal across much of the desert southwest, including Phoenix and Tucson. We'll continue to track the Arctic air and all high-impact stories throughout the day. National Short-Range Forecast. Quick-hitting snowfall may cause travel disruptions over parts of the southeast this morning. Blizzard conditions and high winds likely over portions of the northern plains and upper Midwest today. Heavy snow downwind of Great Lakes. A low-pressure system is expected to develop off the southeast coast this morning, while a cold front weakens while it moves toward the east coast. Snow or a rain-snow mix will develop and spread from the Florida Panhandle into central Georgia this morning before the precipitation quickly moves toward the southeast coast by this afternoon. Snow accumulations between a trace to 1 inch are most likely, with isolated areas receiving as much as 2 to 4 inches over central Georgia, south of I-85, where winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories are in effect for this morning. Snow showers will then spread up the east coast across the mid-Atlantic and northeast coasts this afternoon and evening. Accumulations between 3 to 6 inches with isolated higher amounts are possible from the New York City metro area through coastal New England by Monday morning. Temperatures will drop in the wake of this coastal low as high pressure builds across the south. Freeze warnings are in effect for portions of South Texas this morning. An Arctic cold front will dive south and east through the central and eastern United States over the next couple of days. Snow showers and strong winds are expected to spread from the northern plains to the upper Midwest late this morning and into the afternoon. Blizzard warnings are in effect for portions of eastern North Dakota into northwestern Minnesota today, where winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour could lead to whiteout conditions, which would make travel treacherous and potentially life-threatening. Heavy snow is likely to continue downwind of the Great Lakes over the next couple of days, expanding from the upper Great Lakes tonight into the lower Great Lakes by early Monday morning. Several inches of snow are expected to accumulate downwind of the lakes by Tuesday morning. Mesoscale convective discussion. This is a mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. Areas affected: eastern North Dakota, northeast South Dakota, northwest Minnesota. Concerning blizzard. Until January 18, 1945 Universal Coordinated Time. Summary. Ground blizzard conditions are expected to become more widespread through late morning, early afternoon across eastern North Dakota, northwest Minnesota, and far northeast South Dakota. Discussion. 14Z surface observations show northerly winds beginning to increase to 25 to 35 miles per hour across northeast North Dakota and far northwest Minnesota as a very cold, -5 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit, air mass begins to push southward into the Red River Valley of the North. Based on current wind speeds, temperatures, and the condition of the existing snowpack, per NORSC analyses, blowing snow model output suggests that visibility reductions to 1/4 mile or less should become increasingly common, especially in open country. This is supported by recent web plow cams across the region that depict somewhat reduced visibility within towns, sheltered areas, but significant reductions in open country. Reflectivity data from upstream radars in southern Manitoba are also depicting light reflectivity streamers, often indicative of plumes of blowing snow, which likely correlate with the most significant visibility reductions. These conditions should become more widespread through the late morning and early afternoon as the Arctic air mass continues to surge south, especially as wind speeds increase into the 30 to 35 miles per hour range, which should correlate with scattered to widespread ground blizzard conditions per blowing snow model output. Similar wind speeds were observed yesterday and resulted in sustained 1/4 to 1/2 mile visibility reductions, so confidence is high in ground blizzard impacts, even into areas immediately south of the existing snowpack. Heavy snow and icing discussion. Great Lakes. Days 1 to 3. Shortwave trough passages around an anchored deep low over Hudson Bay maintains cyclonic flow through the Great Lakes with rounds of heavy lake effect snow through next weekend. The Great Lakes are currently mostly ice-free, total ice cover estimated at 14% on January 17, with surface water temperatures between 2 to 6 degrees Celsius, warmer over southern Lake Michigan and Lake Ontario. A long wave trough shifts east of the Great Lakes this morning while the next reinforcing trough swings east across the extent of the lakes this afternoon through Monday. Northwesterly flow brings day 1 PWPF for greater than 6 inches around 50% to the western Upper Peninsula, particularly the Porcupine Mountains, and the western shore of the Lower Peninsula. The flow shifts westerly for Monday, shifting the lake effect snow focus to the eastern Upper Peninsula, northern Lower Peninsula, and for the eastern Great Lakes for Monday, with westerly single banding bringing 50 to 80% probabilities for greater than 6 inches to areas south of Buffalo and on the Tug Hill through Watertown. A brief lull in lake effect snow sweeps across the lakes Tuesday, though single banding persists on the eastern Great Lakes. In particular, the Tug Hill should see notable day 3 snow with 60% probabilities for greater than 12 inches. Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast. Day 1. Positively tilted full latitude trough over the mid-south swing to neutral today as it shifts over the southeast. Moisture plume ahead of the trough is mainly rain, but with surface low pressure developing off the Georgia coast, the backside of the precipitation should turn into moderate bands of snow, particularly from the Florida Panhandle through central Georgia and the central Carolinas. With these cases, even with surface temperatures just above freezing, dynamic cooling could easily bring snow to the surface and accumulate via decent rates of 0.5 to 0.75 inches per hour per the 00Z high-resolution ensemble forecast. Day 1 PWPF for greater than 2 inches is around 10% in south-central Georgia and 20% in north-central North Carolina into southeast Virginia. Further up the coast, precipitation will expand northeastward in the right entrance of the greater than 160 knots jet atop marginal to cold temperatures, milder along, east of I-95 in the mid-Atlantic, and increasing lower to mid-level FGEN. Elongated baroclinic zone and the offshore surface low that rapidly develops as it passes Cape Hatteras this afternoon and just outside the 40/70th benchmark this evening. The westward extent of the precipitation shield, where the snow bands will be, is still prominent in 00Z guidance along the extent of the mid-Atlantic coast this afternoon and much of New England late this afternoon through this evening. 00Z high-resolution ensemble forecast means snow rates exceed 0.5 inches per hour over the Delmarva and New Jersey early this evening and Long Island, southern New England late this evening through midnight. Day 1 PWPF for greater than 2 inches are 40% and up from Philly through eastern Maine, with 50% and up for greater than 4 inches from New York City through Connecticut, Massachusetts, rapid intensification and along the immediate Maine coast. The max for the day 1 PWPF is from Providence to Boston, where greater than 6 inches probabilities are around 60%. Northern Plains. Day 1. Snow squalls and blizzard conditions likely across parts of the northern plains today. Key messages linked below. The next Arctic cold front surges south across the northern plains today, with scattered snow squalls mainly this morning from eastern Montana through the western Dakotas into central Nebraska. The broad wind field with this front should also trigger blowing snow, which when combined with additional falling snow could create blizzard conditions, particularly in the Weather Forecast Office FGF County Warning Area. Please see weather.gov FGF for more info there. Lapse rates reach or exceed 6 to 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer for a brief period along the front, and SNSQ parameters rise above 4 to 5 between eastern Montana and central Nebraska. These parameters combined with low to mid-level FGEN intersecting with a healthy 100 millibars wide dendritic growth zone should allow for efficient snowfall rates within these showers and bands. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour are also possible with this system, adding to the blowing snow potential. Snow squalls are particularly dangerous for those traveling on roadways, with extremely low visibilities and slippery conditions developing rapidly. Be sure to slow down, turn on your lights, and exit the highway if possible should you get caught in a snow squall. Central High Plains. Days 1 to 2. Cold air surges over the high plains, against the front ranges of the Rockies today ahead of a reinforcing shortwave trough that shifts south over the Rockies tonight through Monday. Right entrance jet dynamics over the front will allow banded snow to develop over central Montana, Wyoming this evening with stronger banding overnight from northern Colorado to rain through western Kansas with snow bands lingering Monday morning over southwest Kansas into western Oklahoma. The west-northwest orientation of these bands is parallel to the flow and should allow for persistence of narrow bands of moderate to locally heavy snow. Day 1 PWPF for greater than 2 inches remain limited to 30% over the Colorado Front Range and east of the Palmer Divide in Colorado, western Kansas. CAMs generally struggled with these synoptically driven bands that have a risk for high performance given the motion along orientation, so there remains a threat for 4 inches plus in persistent banding scenarios. Excessive rainfall discussion. Day 1 the probability of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance is less than 5%. Day 2 the probability of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance is less than 5%. Day 3 the probability of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance is less than 5%. Extended forecast. Several days of lake effect and upslope flow snow are in store with the mean westerly wind pattern across the northeastern quadrant of the lower 48. A clipper system could enhance Great Lakes snow into Wednesday to Thursday and spread lighter snow to the northeast Thursday. Snow is forecast to be heaviest in western New York downwind of Lake Ontario from the lake effect, enhanced snow, after likely heavy snow amounts Tuesday. Now in the short-range period, several more inches of snow on Wednesday and Thursday are possible, potentially piling up to 1 to 3 feet. Gulf moisture is forecast to reach southern Texas into the lower Mississippi Valley on Wednesday and pull along a front, producing moderate to possibly heavy rain. Model guidance is currently indicating that most instability in the vicinity will remain offshore, limiting higher rain rates. If instability does reach the immediate coast, heavy rain would fall over areas of sandy soils that are not sensitive, plus the whole region has dry antecedent conditions. Thus continue to hold off on any excessive rain areas for the Day 4, Wednesday excessive rain outlook, though the flooding threat could be non-zero especially if higher rain rates reach urbanized areas like Houston. Moderate rain is forecast to spread into the Ark-La-Tex to lower Mississippi Valley Wednesday and across the Gulf Coast into Florida on Thursday, but with rain amounts well below any excessive rainfall threat. Then for Friday, another round of precipitation is forecast to spread across the lower, middle Mississippi Valley into the Tennessee and Ohio valleys and move east into next weekend. Northern areas of this precipitation shield like the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys into the northeast could see winter weather as moisture overruns incoming cold air. Snow and/or ice are both possible, but there is ample uncertainty with precipitation coverage, types, and amounts at this point, so stay tuned for forecast updates. Meanwhile, the Pacific Northwest into the northern Rockies can expect increasing precipitation Thursday and persisting into Friday to Saturday due to energy aloft. Below average temperatures are expected across the eastern United States Wednesday, particularly with chilly morning lows. Elsewhere temperatures should be generally near to slightly above average for midweek. Then repeated rounds of reinforcing troughing are forecast across the northern tier into late week, while a cold surface high sinks in from Canada and pushes a strong cold front south across the plains and vicinity. By Friday, the northern plains to upper Midwest should see well below average temperatures, where even highs may stay under 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Over the weekend, the cold is forecast to remain across the northern tier and spread south across much of the central United States and east into the Great Lakes, northeast. There is uncertainty in how far south the cold front reaches after a warmer than average spell in the southern plains Friday and the southeast Saturday. Severe Weather Outlook Day 1. Severe thunderstorms are not forecast across the United States today or tonight. Severe Weather Outlook Day 2. Thunderstorms are not expected on Monday. Severe Weather Outlook Day 3. Thunderstorms are not expected on Tuesday. Fire Weather Outlook. Synopsis. Dry and breezy conditions with winds out of the west-southwest owing to a surface high pressure along the Gulf Coast will support elevated fire weather conditions this afternoon across portions of central Texas into southern Oklahoma. Central Texas into southern Oklahoma. Downslope west-southwesterly surface winds across western and central Texas will reach 15 to 20 miles per hour in a dry post-frontal air mass characterized by relative humidity of 10 to 20%. With fuels sufficiently receptive to wildfire ignition and spread, elevated fire weather concerns are forecast. Locally critical conditions may occur where winds exceed 20 miles per hour for short periods of time, though 00Z high-resolution ensemble forecast guidance suggests low confidence in 3+ hours sustained winds of 20 miles per hour which would preclude additional highlights. Space Weather Update. Solar activity is likely to remain at moderate levels with a few isolated M-class flares, R1, R2, minor, moderate, through the 20th of January. Atlantic Tropical Outlook. The Atlantic hurricane season is currently inactive. Routine issuance will resume on May 15. Pacific Tropical Outlook. The Pacific hurricane season is currently inactive. Routine issuance will resume on May 15. Warnings Summary. There are currently 24 active life safety warnings across the continental United States. This day in weather history. In 1973, a severe ice storm struck the southeast. A layer of ice was followed by up to 9 inches of snow, causing hundreds of injuries and keeping some locations under snow cover for 2 full weeks. National temperature extremes. The national high temperature in the last 24 hours was 88 in Santa Ana, California. The national low was -20 in Cook, Minnesota. Did you know? Sprites, elves, and blue jets are names given to upper atmospheric optical phenomena associated with thunderstorms.